Remember that line. In about 6 minutes, you'll understand how literally your body means it. In the winter of 1865, physicians across Europe kept finding something they couldn't explain. On the skin of certain dying patients, across the forehead, the temples, the creases of the arms, a fine white powder would appear overnight. It began at the brow and the hairline, then crept down the face. They'd wipe it clean. By morning it was back, in the same places, in the same order. At first they blamed it on the bedding, or the ointments of the era. It wasn't. Eventually one of them scraped the crystals into a dish and tested them. The powder was urea, nitrogen waste, the exact compound that is only ever meant to leave your body dissolved in urine. It was surfacing through the skin instead, and crystallizing in the open air. Every one of those patients had one thing in common: their kidneys had stopped. So here's the question to hold on to for the next few minutes. When the body's main filter shuts down, why does its waste come out through the skin at all? What is the body actually doing? Because it isn't a malfunction, it's a design, and a quieter version of it is running in you right now, today. Let me give you the short answer before we go deep, because it's what you came for. Your skin is a third kidney. Not a phrase a wellness blog invented, a physical fact of how you are built. Your skin sheds the same wastes your kidneys do: urea, ammonia, salts, the leftovers of every gram of protein you have ever digested. 2 kidneys filter your blood. Your skin is the third drain, open the entire time, working under everything you do. That white frost was never the body breaking, it was the body reaching for its backup. But the frost is the extreme, the dial turned all the way up, in people at the very end of things. What should hold your attention is the quiet version, the one on your own skin this week. Because if the skin is a second drain for your kidneys, then it is also a gauge, a readout. And when the kidneys begin to strain, often years before a routine blood test would raise a single flag, the skin can be the first surface to show it. Most people are looking straight at those signals every morning and reading them as nothing. Stay with me, because before the end I'll tell you exactly which of those signals matter, which are harmless, and the one almost everyone gets backwards. First, how is this even possible? How does a waste bound for urine end up leaving through your skin? Look closely at one sweat gland. It doesn't simply push out salt water to cool you. It taps the very same bloodstream your kidneys draw from, and it pulls small molecules straight out of it. Water, sodium, chloride, lactate, and the nitrogen wastes, urea and ammonia. Sweat is roughly 99% water, but that last 1% is, chemically, a diluted cousin of urine. And this is not some accident of the plumbing. Your skin carries dedicated urea transporters, molecular gates built for the single purpose of moving urea across its cells. The body spent real biology on this. It wanted a second exit, and you are using it right now. Even with dry skin, even sitting perfectly still, a slow, invisible seep of water and waste is leaving you through the surface every minute. What physiologists call insensible loss. The drain never fully closes. That is what the opening line meant. Every drop of sweat carries a faint record of what your blood is holding. Your skin keeps the receipts. Now, in health, the amount is small. Your kidneys do the overwhelming share, and the skin's cut barely registers. But here is the part that matters. The concentration of urea in your sweat tracks the concentration of urea in your blood. When the kidneys fall behind and waste climbs in the bloodstream, more of it gets pushed to the skin. Turn that dial far enough, blood urea past a certain brutal threshold, and the sweat carries so much that, as it evaporates, the urea is left behind as solid crystal. That is uremic frost, not a disease of the skin at all. A message from the kidneys written on it. And as that urea sits on warm skin, bacteria break it down into ammonia, which is why, long before any frost, a failing body can carry a faint, sharp, urine-like smell. The nose often catches the message before the eye ever does. And here is what unsettles me every time I sit with it. We treat this as a 19th century discovery. It was old news. Thousands of years earlier, the physicians of Ayurveda had already sorted the body's wastes into three: Purisha, the stool; Mutra, the urine; and Sweta, sweat. The three malas, they called them. The three channels the body uses to carry out what it cannot keep. Read that placement again. They set sweat in the same category as urine, two forms of one job, one leaving by the bladder, one by the skin. They even taught that sweat and urine share the work of balancing the body's water. Lean less on one, and the other takes up the slack. With no microscope and no chemistry, they had already filed the skin beside the kidney. It took Western medicine until the age of the microscope to arrive at a system that was, by then, ancient. So bring it to your own skin. If sweat is a diluted read of your blood, what can it actually tell you? I want to be careful here, because this is where the internet turns reckless. Dry skin, on its own, does not mean your kidneys are failing. An occasional itch is not a diagnosis. 1,000 ordinary things dry and irritate skin, and almost none of them are your kidneys. What matters is a cluster, several of these together, and especially in someone already carrying risk. A persistent, widespread itch with no rash that simply won't settle. Skin that turns unusually dry and sallow across the whole body, not just the shins in winter. And the one people miss most, a change in odor, a faint ammonia or urine-like note to the sweat or the breath. That last one is urea being broken down on the skin's surface, the invisible cousin of the frost. None of these is rare on its own, and that is precisely the trap. Each has a dozen innocent explanations. It is the combination and the company it keeps that turns noise into signal. Who should take a cluster like that seriously? Anyone living with diabetes, with high blood pressure, with a family history of kidney disease, or simply past the age where filtration quietly declines. For you, those signs prove nothing on their own. But together, they are a reason to ask for one simple blood test. Nothing more dramatic than that, and nothing less important. Now, the mistake I promised you. The thing most people get exactly the wrong way round. They hear, the skin releases kidney waste, and they decide they can help their kidneys by sweating more. Saunas, hot rooms, sweating to detox. So hear this plainly. The skin's share of the work is tiny. You cannot sweat your way out of kidney trouble, and no amount of it will clean your blood the way real filtration does. The skin is a window, not a repair. If the glass is fogging, you don't scrub it harder. You get what's behind it checked. Your third kidney was built to inform you. It was never built to save you. Which brings us back to 1865, those patients and the frost that kept returning by morning. Those doctors were watching, in its crudest possible form, the body doing precisely what it was designed to do. When the main drain closed, it opened the spare, and it wrote the failure across the skin in letters plain enough for anyone to read. Then dialysis arrived, the frost grew rare, and we quietly lost the lesson buried underneath it, that the skin was never only a wrapper holding you together. It is a surface your body reports on, an instrument you were handed at birth and never taught to read. Every other gauge in your life came with a manual. This one came built into your body, and no one ever opened it for you. You can read it now, quietly, every morning, in the mirror, finally knowing what it's been showing you all along. If this changed the way you see your own skin, subscribe. This channel exists to hand back the instruments hidden inside your own body. And answer me one thing below. Before today, had you ever heard the skin called a third kidney? One word, yes or no. Your answer tells me how deep to go on the next one. There is another organ your body quietly drafts into service the same way, one you'd never guess. I've already decoded it.